Hey guys. So we're moving on to chapter 8 of Toothless Wonder by Barbara Park. We have there are only 9 chapters in this book. That's what I wanted to let you know. There are only 9 chapters. We saw that whenever we saw the table of contents when we first started reading. So we are almost done with this book. I'm gonna go through the sticky notes that we've done so far just to try to catch us up. So in chapter 5, we see that Junie B thinks that the Tooth Fairy is actually a witch. In chapter 6, we found out that Junie B doesn't actually leave her tooth under her pillow for the Tooth Fairy or the Tooth Witch, whichever one you think it is. So she's been holding on to it. And then we just read chapter 7, a Stumper. And Stumper. And I left that as a question for you guys, what you think Herb means when he says the word Stumper. And I got some really good responses. The ones that I think I agreed with the most were the ones that said he thought that that was a hard question because he really thought, what would a tooth fairy do with teeth? That's a difficult question. I don't have an answer for that. That's a stumper. And that was the note that we took, that she spoke to Herbert about the Tooth Fairy and what the Tooth Fairy could really be. So now we're gonna read chapter 8, Smiling. And this is when she finally sees everyone at school. And that was one of the other questions, what you thought was gonna happen whenever she met everyone, when she showed everyone. So we're gonna find out. When we finally got to school, I started feeling shaky inside because I didn't want to get laughed at, remember? Plus, I was still concerned about the fruit throwing. I closed my mouth real tight and I walked back to my desk. Lenny smiled and waved at me. I waved back. Then very slowly, I did a shy smile. That's when Lenny jumped from his seat and did a loud whoop. Cool, he said. You look cool, Junie B. Jose heard Lenny and came to see. Then he grinned and grinned at my brand new smile, and he gave me a high five. And that is not even the best part, because Mr. Scary saw what was going on, and he came all the way to my desk to see my tooth, and he gave me a smiley face sticker. After that, he clapped his hands together and made an announcement to room 1. He told them I lost my tooth, and he asked me to stand up and show them my special new smile. I swallowed real nervous. Then I stood up kind of jittery, and I opened my lips a teensy bit so the children could see my tooth hole. So that's what it looks like is going on in this picture, her teensy smile. To show everyone. We can kind of guess who these people are. Who do we think that is? And what do you know? Room 1 was happy for me. And all of them smiled real nice. Except not May, of course. May just rolled her eyeballs. I think you look weird, Junie Jones, she said. I think your smile looks silly. I sat down. No, May, this is a silly smile, I said. Then I put my fingers in the sides of my mouth and I stretched my smile across my face. And I wiggled my tongue at her very fast. Lenny, sorry Lily, if you're watching this, I keep saying your name. Lenny and Jose laughed and laughed. And guess what? At lunchtime, I made my smile even funnier because Lenny gave me a raisin and I put it right in my tooth hole. And it stuck in there, very hilarious. Ugh. Shirley laughed her head off at that joke. I'm beginning to enjoy that girl. So how much did the Tooth Fairy leave you, she asked. Did you get a bundle? Yeah, said Lenny. I was wondering that too. I started feeling squirmy again. I looked at Herb kind of worried. He tried to explain the matter to them. Well, Junie B didn't exactly leave her tooth for the fairy yet, he said. All of the students looked at me. Why? They asked. Why didn't you leave it, Junie B? I squirmed some more. Then finally I took a deep breath. I've got issues with that fairy. That's why, I said, kind of quiet. Issues? Asked Lenny. Like what kind of issues? I swallowed real hard. Issues like, well, you know, like what does she do with the teeth, for instance? I said. For a minute, nobody said anything. Then May made the cuckoo sign at me. What does the fairy do with the teeth? Oh, I'm sorry. I read that as Junie B. This is actually May speaking. Remember, that was one of the things that we talked about. You want to sound like the person, you want to sound like your character. I mixed up my characters. It's okay to go back and do it again if you're reading out loud to make it sound more like the character you want it to sound like. So I messed up too. I'm going to go back and fix it. What does the fairy do with the teeth? She said. What kind of dumb issue is that? I flashed my angry eyes at that girl. Well, if it's so dumb, then you must know the answer, right, May? I said. And so what does the fairy do with the teeth, huh? She doesn't pay money just to throw them away, does she? After that, I waited and waited for her answer. The other children waited too. But May didn't say anything. Well, I said. Well, said Shirley. Well, said Jose. Finally, May's face turned red and she went to get a drink of water. After that, the whole table started talking about the fairy. Only no one knew what she did with the teeth. We wandered and wandered. Then all of a sudden, Lucille stood up. And she fluffed her fluffy dress. Well, guess what? Well, guess what? I don't really care what the tooth fairy does with the teeth. All I care about is how much money she leaves. She looked at room 1. You're nothing without money, people. Remember that, she said. I tapped my fingers on the table, kind of annoyed. Yeah, only that doesn't even answer my question, Lucille, because I still don't know what she does with the teeth. Lucille put her hands on her hips. Well, maybe she just collects them, she said. Did you ever think of that, huh? Collecting stuff is a hobby, you know. My Richie Nana collects tons of junk, and she pays good money for it too. I tapped my fingers some more. Then I put my chin in my hands, and I thought about Lucille's Nana. Finally, I started to smile a little bit because maybe Lucille's idea might make some sense, possibly. Pretty soon, Herb smiled a little bit too. A tooth collection, huh? He said. Maybe that's the answer, Junie B. Yeah, that just might be it. The fairy might collect teeth as a hobby or something. Sure, said Lenny. There's nothing wrong with collecting stuff. Like, I collect baseball cards, but I don't actually do anything with them. See, I collect Matchbox cars, said Jose. What's wrong with that? Just then, Sheldon springed up from the table. You remember we talked about irregular past tense verbs? Junie B's not the best with irregular past tense verbs. She pretty much just slaps the ED on the end of anything, but we know that those aren't always right. Yes, and I collect vacuum cleaner bags. And the doctor says that's perfectly normal. After that, Sheldon laughed, and he pretended to vacuum his pants. All of us moved away from him. Then the bell rang, and everyone went outside for recess. After that, I wrote in my journal. And you remember how the book started with a journal entry from her? Here's another one. And we knew it was her journal because we see her handwriting. And this is actually how chapter 8 is going to end. So our next video is going to be our last one on this book. Dear first grade journal, me and Herb talked some more on the playground. We decided that the Tooth Fairy has a tooth collection, probably. And that is not even weird, possibly. Also, I promised Herb I would put my tooth under my pillow tonight. I hope we are right about this woman. From Junie B, first grader. P.S. I wish me all the best. So, for my sticky note, I'm going to say, where's my favorite sticky notes? I'll use this one. I'm going to say that, sorry y'all, thanks for waiting. I couldn't find my giant pencil. So, I'm gonna say Junie B, at the very end, well, before that, she talked to her friends about the Tooth Fairy not making any sense. And her friends decided that the Tooth Fairy probably just collects the teeth, that she doesn't do anything weird or creepy with them. And then, so I'm going to leave that note that Junie B and her friends decided the Tooth Fairy collects them. Collects the teeth. And the very last thing we saw was that Junie B put the tooth under her pillow. So maybe that's that's definitely going to be one of the questions I leave for you. What do you think is going to happen now that Junie B has that tooth under the pillow, even though she waited a long time? I don't know how the Tooth Fairy rules work. So what do you think is going to happen? And I had a couple of responses before. I see that lots of you are watching. And I love that. I love to know that we're reading this book together. But I'm not getting as many responses. If you're having trouble typing and it's difficult for you, have one of your older siblings or an adult, one of your parents, type your responses for you, because I just want to know what you're thinking. I just want to know how you feel about what we're reading. So keep checking in. I'm going to read the last chapter for you and let me know how you're doing on handwriting. Thanks, guys. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. I love to hear from you. Oops. Kinsley, I've been getting your goofy little comments. I love them. So keep leaving comments for me, guys. Bye.